Hello and welcome to this special radio town hall meeting on whistleblowing and whistleblower protection by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMOG, in partnership with the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, AfricMIL. I am Adaobi Obiabumo, the program manager at PRIMOG. Both PRIMOG and AfricMIL are civil society organizations with a mandate to promote good governance, information literacy, and participatory democracy in Nigeria. This town hall meeting against corruption has the support of the MacArthur Foundation. Today's program seeks to strengthen Nigeria's anti-corruption fight by promoting public awareness, discussion, and interactions that can further the passage of a law to secure the whistleblower policy of the federal government. You will recall that President Muhammadu Buhari had written to the National Assembly in January this year, urging them to consider and pass the Proceeds of Crime Bill, the Whistleblower Bill, and the Witness Protection Bill pending before the lawmakers. On this program, we will focus on the need for Nigeria to have this legislation as soon as possible. We will also discuss how the pending Whistleblower Bill can quickly be attended to and passed. The Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omo-Agege, has been invited to this program, and he is eminently represented by Prince Efeduku, his special advisor on legislative and plenary matters. We also have Maxwell Kadiri, a legal practitioner, Godwin Onyacholim, who is a program officer at AfricMIL. For you listening to us out there, please remember that you are an important part of this meeting. You will have the opportunity to contribute via your phone shortly. You can also watch us live on Facebook at Official PRIMOG. The spelling of PRIMOG is PRIMORG. We will give you the phone numbers to reach us in the course of the deliberations. And as a citizen, how important do you think it is to have a law to protect whistleblowers in our country? Do you think corruption can reduce if citizens feel more protected by a law when they blow the whistle? You can begin to send your messages or your thoughts or your views to 0902 265 6167. That is 0902 265 6167. Let us now listen to the opinion of some citizens on whistleblowing. I will be right back to introduce my guests. Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to PRIMOG's public feedback series on corruption called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, will more Nigerians be whistleblowers if they know they are protected by the law?
The Freedom of Information Act Section 27 tend to give some level of protection to public servants. But aside public servants, even at that, the level of the protection is such that, okay, you might not necessarily be sacked, but you could be transferred and all other things can happen to you. But when there's a Whistleblower Protection Act that is passed and signed into law, not just in the public service, you find a lot of people who volunteer information that will go a long way in enhancing the anti-corruption drive of the current administration.
Nobody wants to risk his life or her life. So when there is law protecting them, more people will be eager to blow that whistle.
No. There is no protection at all. Those who are blowing whistle in Nigeria are on their own. People who blow whistle has always been the targets of either oppression or deprivation, one deprivation or the other. So they are not protected. But if actually with the country is serious, those who are whistleblowers should be protected by the powers that be.
Most Nigerians want a better Nigeria, but they wouldn't want to blow a whistle which they will not be protected. Every Nigerian knows that a step ahead of anything they do will bring about a change if the system is actually working.
There are laws protecting the whistleblower. I can confidently blow whistle when I know I am covered, and at the end of the day, I will not be harmed. Why won't I blow whistle?
The policies that protect the people are not on ground in Nigeria. We don't have policies that protect the people. The police all the law enforcement agents, they are systems that people use to, hide from crime. So I don't know, the same person that is going to protect me is protecting the man I'm trying to expose. So I'm not sure I want to be part of that whistleblowing thing, because there is no security measures that will protect those who do that.
Corruption has taken us to where we never expected we are going, and things has really fallen apart. So there is the need, if there is a law protecting them, we need more of the whistleblowers, so that the secret of many Nigerians that have made things to fall apart and the center could do not hold, so that they will be exposed.
When one blows and you have given him the condition or what he expects after blowing, and at the end of the day nothing happens around it, is it not corruption? You understand? So whistleblowing itself must be dealt with holistically, so that in itself there will not be any corruption shrouded around it.
There is a serious security breach when it comes to whistleblowing. Everybody comes out with a different opinion, call it whistleblowing. When you are being paid off, the whole matter dies off. So I don't think there is anything like whistleblowing, and since the laws are not working, so the whistleblowing is very weak.
And average Nigerians, they are not really protected by the law.
There are a lot of people who show interest in blowing the whistle, but because of the lack of assurance of personal safety, a lot of people are hesitant.
If there is a room created for that in Nigeria, for a citizen to be a whistleblower, it's very good. But you first of all say security. If the citizen will be protected, why not whistleblower? We are here to fight corruption.
If we have our law enforcement backing the law, then most people will want to do that. But at the same time, we have to look at the angle of the people responsible for the protection. Because this country, we're at the point that people have to look out for themselves. Looking at a situation where we want more people to come and blow whistle, what happens to them at the end of the day? What happens to them after? Can you protect them forever? Can you protect them for as long as 2-3 years? Do you get? So that's the problem here, because the people we are supposed to blow the whistle on, they are very smart in that regard. They have their tight circle.
There is a psychological fear for a lot of people in Nigeria where you see something going on and you're just scared. You don't want to be caught, or you probably don't even want people to know you're the one who blew the whistle. You feel me? So it's one of those situations where I wouldn't really think people feel very comfortable, secure being a whistleblower in the country. If we have a law that we all abide by, then that's a situation where we can feel like if I blow the whistle, I know that the law will protect me.
A lot of people will blow whistle if they know the law, not just having a law to back them. If they know that the law will really back them indeed.
Primog's public feedback on corruption in Nigeria is produced with support from MacArthur Foundation.
Welcome again to the program. You are listening to our town hall meeting against corruption. If you're just tuning in, you are right on time as the deliberations are about to begin. As part of an effort to fight corruption, the federal government of Nigeria launched a whistleblowing policy in 2016, which encouraged well-meaning citizens to volunteer reliable information on unethical practices in the public sector. According to the federal government, the policy yielded results as they received at least 8,000 whistleblower tips and recovered 594.09 billion naira between 2016 and 2020. But the whistleblowing policy has its many frailties and urgently needs a legal strength to push more effectively against corruption. President Buhari's recent plea to the National Assembly on passing the best possible versions of the Proceeds of Crime Bill, Whistleblower Bill, and Witness Protection Bill underscores this urgency. As it now appears, the 9th Assembly needs the support of everyone quickly to look at the bills and do the needful. We warmly welcome all our special guests to this program, particularly the Deputy Senate President, as represented by his Special Advisor on Legislative and Plenary Matters, Prince Efe Duku. Let me invite the representative of AfricMil, Godwin Onyacholim, to get us started with a quick comment on whistleblowing in Nigeria, since the federal government adopted it as a mechanism of fighting corruption. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Adelby. I'm glad to be here. As you rightly mentioned, that policy was introduced in December 2016. And last December, it was 5 years. And you expect that a government that has the courage, the political will to really fight corruption would have gone ahead on announcing that anti-corruption strategy, whistleblowing, inviting citizens to take part in the fight against corruption. You expect that a government that really has the will to fight corruption would have gone ahead, to also follow up that introduction of whistleblowing with, something like an executive bill to the National Assembly immediately. So we won't be here 5 years after and still be talking about, the absence of law. From the feedback you played back from citizens, one thing runs through every comment they made. It's about protection. People are afraid to, speak up, to report fraud, corruption, wherever, or wrongdoing, wherever they see them, just because they know that, the whistleblowing policy remains a policy. There is no law to back it up. People are afraid to come out and say, this is what is wrong. Whether in their workplaces, whether wherever they see wrongdoing, people are. And this is not what government wants. Government wants to break that culture of silence, for people to come out and speak up, and whenever they observe wrongdoing and report it. But it's
Are you optimistic that if we have a legislation, more people?
Oh yes, I am, because we did a survey, in December, which report of which we released in December, assessing 5 years of whistleblowing in Nigeria, across 7 states in the 6 geopolitical regions, and and from the respondents sampled, 98% of them still believe that corruption is a major problem in the country. It's a threat. And then that, they are aware, all of them are aware that there is a whistleblowing policy. But not many people are willing to come out to report corruption because they fear that they will be retaliated against. There will always be reprisals. So the fact of the existence of retaliation against people who come out to blow the whistle is already a disincentive for the whistleblowing policy. Okay. So until there is a law, you are not going to have a traction, for the whistleblowing, activity in the country.
Thank you for that background there. But let's quickly shift our attention to Prince Efe Duku, who is representing the Deputy Senate President. You're welcome to the program. You have heard what Godwin Onyacholem said on the need for us to have a legislation backing the whistleblower policy. There is a huge consensus that there is a need for a law to back up whistleblowing and to protect whistleblowers in Nigeria. Why do you think there is this general understanding?
First, let me also thank you for the privilege to be here to represent the Deputy President of the Senate. The Constitution mandates the government to fight corruption, to ensure that corruption does not destroy our system. The National Assembly has a power of investigation for the purpose of exposing corruption. So the policy of the federal government on whistleblowing is tailored towards meeting the objectives of the Constitution in terms of fighting corruption. Now, the people who come out to blow whistle for wrongdoing, they do not necessarily do it for pecuniary benefits. They do it for patriotic reasons. They do it because they believe that what belongs to all is being taken by one person or a few. And so it is important that when people, citizens, take bold steps for patriotic reasons, that the state should be able to protect them. Now, it has been said, and the data is out there, that there has been phenomenal rise in reporting of activities that are of criminal nature, regarding financial embezzlement and issues of that nature. Now, so a new government may shift that policy, but when you have a statute that actually recognizes whistleblowing as an issue and it is entrenched in the law, it means that you have to go back to the National Assembly to amend it. And for you to be able to do so, you need to explain to the Nigerian people why you have to do that. So it is important for us to protect those people who are patriotic enough to come out. And the best way to do that, we all agreed on that the best way to do that is actually by means of a legislation. So the focus shifts to the National Assembly to pass this bill. And I can tell you authoritatively that that bill will be passed. The process may have taken such time that it agitates people's mind reasonably so, but it will be passed.
I know that the 8th Assembly tried to work on the bill, but it was not possible. You have said that you are assuring the person listening to you that the 9th Assembly would do the needful to make sure that we have this piece of legislation. Don't you think that the office of the Deputy Senate President will be doing us much good by galvanizing his colleagues to ensure that we have a legislation?
Without question. When not presiding, when the Deputy President of the Senate is not presiding, he has a vote, just like any other senator. First, his vote will go for whistleblowing bill. That is, he will vote in favor if he's not presiding. Then, using his position as the number 2 man in the Senate, he will also be able to talk to his colleagues. In any case, I do not see, and there is no report out there, that there is any legislator in the National Assembly who opposes this bill. There may be questions as to maybe certain provisions of the bill to make it better, but not that the substance itself is bad. So, as to your question as whether the DSP would galvanize his colleagues, you can take that to the bank. He will. He's always played that role to ensure that legislations that are of serious impact, that are consequential, that he supports them in a way that we move them to the finish line. So he will. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also understand that we have more than one bill at the moment at the Senate floor of the National Assembly. How fast do you think that these bills can be harmonized for passage?
Well, when you talk of harmonization of bills, it is maybe a bill has been passed in the Senate and another version passed in the reps. Then they go for harmonization through a committee set up by both chambers. But what I can say here is any bill that falls within that bracket of moving the nation forward, and the Nigerian people have expressed their will, overwhelmingly so, that they need this bill. Look, let us get it. Is it not right for us to protect people who ensure that looted funds are brought back to be used for the good of everybody? That question is answered in the affirmative by virtually everyone. So, how soon those bills are passed will depend on the debates on the bills. In my opinion, and that is my personal opinion, I do not think that those debates should take too long. Now,
how much is too long when you say it should take too long?
Now, there is a process. First, you have the first reading of a bill, you have the second reading of a bill, then it moves for public hearing. Then that is where you harvest the public opinion on any bill.
But we have less than 1 year for the 9th Assembly, this administration, to elapse.
I agree that we have. Look, I'm not speaking as the spokesman of the National Assembly. I'm only speaking as a representative of the Deputy President of the Senate and telling you that his frame of mind is in support of this bill, and I am also aware that he will take every step to ensure that he is able to galvanize his colleagues to support the passage of the bill.
Thank you so much for that assurance, but we'll get back to you later. Let me speak with Maxwell Kadiri, a legal practitioner. You're welcome to the program. You have done a lot of work on whistleblowing and the protection of whistleblowers. You have also worked very closely with CSOs in this regard. How important is the whistleblower law to our nation at this point?
Well, I won't rehash what has been said, including by your audience, because you also did a vox populi for us at the beginning. And I think it's very clear, including the comments from the representative of the Deputy President of the Senate. Again, and he put it very starkly, that should we not protect those who are willing to volunteer information or expose corruption in the context of taking the common patrimony of the Nigerian public being stolen by either one or a handful of people. So when somebody is that patriotic to put their lives, their safety and their properties on the line, including that of their family, friends and relatives, the least the nation can do as a corporate entity is to ensure that they are adequately protected. And we won't be rehashing anything or doing anything out of the ordinary, because it's also clear. I would juxtapose that with the experience we all also observed in one of these world powers, where during the last administration of that world power, you saw the value of whistleblowing protection in the context of exposing misdeeds of the administration, and when the head of the administration was willing to go against those individuals who were willing to put their life on the line and their security on the line just to be able to basically identify things that were not necessarily financial misgivings, but even things that were misdemeanors in the context of public governance and how public authority was managed.
So, what would you say are the concerns of CSO in the whistleblowing law, and are these concerns addressed in the pending bills?
Well, for purposes of clarity, we don't have a law yet, so we can't be talking of a whistleblowing law. What we have is a whistleblowing policy, and as well intentioned as that policy is, Afric Mill and other CSOs, including Primorg, who've been on this issue and in this space, have also basically identified some of the shortcomings of the policy, to the extent that we've had 7 civil servants who expose whistleblowing or misdeeds in their respective institution being subjected to a lot of attacks. In some instances, they were either transferred to what will be termed as less comfortable positions. In some instances, they actually even lost their jobs. They were sacked on trumped-up charges, and some of them had to go to court, to fight to get their jobs back. And so what that shows, so we're not talking theory here, we're talking practice, lived experience. And what that shows, it is exposed the limitations of the policy, as it were, which is why there's the clarion call for a legislation, and so it's also clear. But again, as the wise ones handed over to us many years ago, the devil is in the details. What kind of legislative proposals are being considered in terms of the text of the bills, and then what would we get at the end of the day, in terms of the quality of the legislation. And the quality of the legislation is also measured by the level of protection that it gives to the whistleblower in the real sense of the word.
Okay, thank you for that, but I'll still come back to you, so just stay there. I also have in the studio Ade Soji Afolabi, who is the Assistant Chief State Counsel, Federal Ministry of Justice. Could you tell us what the Ministry of Justice has been up to, given the fact that people are afraid to blow the whistle on corruption because there's a lack of protection? What is the effort of the ministry to strengthen the whistleblowing legislation in Nigeria?
Thank you very much, and much has been spoken about this legislation in process. We call it maybe a proposal for that matter. And the whistleblowing policy is a product of the executives, and Federal Ministry of Justice, being part of the executive, is saddled with that responsibility of coming up with a legislation. And that legislation, it has been on for a while. It started in 2012 precisely, where we have the first version of that bill as public interest disclosure. But you know, when you are drafting legislation, you use the language that your people, that is the citizen, is known to, and all those things. So in the process, the 8th Assembly couldn't successfully pass that bill because of the lacuna here and there. So thereafter, when this administration came on board, they now initiated this policy of whistleblowing, and we are all living witnesses to what happened when that policy came into being. Everybody was, enthusiastically, coming forth to disclose, irrespective of whom you are. I know this one, brothers, sisters, even disclosing those items. In the spirit of that, at the Federal Executive Council, where the policy was approved, they now concluded that, okay, Federal Ministry of Justice should have it should draft a legislation for implementation to back up the policy, because you can't enforce policy, but when you have a legislation, it will be better. So in that spirit, we have to, because the sponsor of that policy is Federal Ministry of Finance. So we also arrange with the Federal Ministry of Finance to look at it, because it is better when you are drafting a law to sample the opinion of other people, and that their experiences in the course of operating that policy will be brought to bear in terms of drafting the legislation. So that which we did, and I think some of these civil society organizations, him and Mr. Godwin, they have been very active. Severally, we have met, we have disagreed, but that's the essence of the law, because it is better to have a kind of that interaction where the people, because we are on the side of the people. Our own major interest is not even whether we are part of the executive, but it's on the side of the people and how the implementation of the law will be done.
And how long have you been working on this said
Yes, I think last year it was reactivated fully again, because when we noticed that people were not coming forth, to disclose again and all those things because of itches here and there, embarrassment, victimization, and all those ones. So it was brought up again, and as I speak with you, that bill has been transmitted to Federal Ministry of Finance for discussion at the Federal Executive Council.
Okay, so what you're saying is that the bill that you worked on, that is
with the stakeholders, with the critical stakeholders, all the stakeholders.
With all the stakeholders,
yes.
Okay. It's not part of the bill that is currently at the National Assembly.
Well, that I cannot explain. You see, our own duty is to make that, to finalize the law. We transmit it to the Federal Ministry of Finance, because they are the sponsor. It's their own baby per se. So they are the one to present it, and that where the position of that bill, I cannot tell you precisely where it is. But recently, I know they sent one witness protection, because in one of our meetings, we agreed that we should not burden the whistleblowing too much with witness protection. We all agreed at that meeting that why don't we separate with witness protection from it, and that also gave us some time for us to look at it and make sure that all activities that relates to whistleblowing is captured in the bill, and that's exactly what we have done.
So what you're trying to say now is that there are two bills: whistleblowing bill and then witness protection separate.
Yes, of course. I know the witness protection.
So which one did you submit to the Ministry of Finance?
It's whistleblowing bill.
There is no witness protection or whistleblower protection in it.
Yes, because that was the agreement of the stakeholder, that we should separate it. We should not add witness protection, because when you look at our relevant laws, there are also provisions that has to do with witness protection, and those protections are covered and provided for. But the question is, how effective are those witnesses also even be protected or provided for in terms of finance and all those things? We said, okay, we should not bother so much on the issue of protecting the witnesses generally, but we should restrict to whistleblowing, and that was the agreement. And the Federal Ministry of Finance agreed with them that okay, we said, and it was on that basis that we
So the
completed.
whistleblower is not protected in that bill.
Is protected.
Okay,
But
the
whistleblower,
witness protection is
yes,
is not protected.
yes, witness. It looks very
It
the
seems like
thin
they're
line.
saying
Yes,
that there's a slight
if
difference.
a whistleblower can graduate to be a witness, because you need to come and blow the whistle first before further steps are taken. It's different from calling somebody differently,
person.
yes, who did not. So that's why we don't want to expand it, because already we have existing legislation that capture those kind of even situation where there are lacuna. You can leverage on that and you bring
we want
them
to be
justice.
sure that the person who blows the whistle will be protected in this
Yes,
new
of
legislation.
course, and they are adequately protected.
Thank you for that clarification. It's I would open the phone line now for you out there. It is time for you to join the conversation. And we ask, are there reasons why you wouldn't want to blow the whistle against corruption as a citizen? And do you think that we are long overdue to have a whistleblower and whistleblower protection law in Nigeria? And you can send a text to 090-265-6167. Or if you're watching us via Facebook at Official Primorg, you can also send us a message and we will read your message. Let's take this call. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name for security reason is MNM.
Okay, let's hear you.
And yeah, please. I would like to correct the last speaker, the gentleman there from the Ministry of Justice. He's not going direct to the principal. The principal here is the whistleblower, the man who divulged the secret. So forget about any bill. If the man in question is not giving the regard and care to protect him, that's one. Second, tell me, ask him what happened to the whistleblowers, the lock in DSS from July 20th, July 20th, 2017 to October 21st, 2017. Same. The Mr. President was on hospital bed then by the DSS under the past head, Mr. Lordora. That's one. Secondly, help me ask them what happened to the whistleblower that recovered the 27 billion of the PSC and self funds. Are you with me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, please. Forget we should put our arrogance aside. Everybody is responsible for whatever he witnessed or come across. How we reacted to it, he will be answerable before the Creator. I'm 62 by age. For the fact that you are being designated to oversee or protect or as a guardian of whatever does not make you a commander or a lawmaker on that team. You don't need any
Okay, you have 30
whatever.
seconds, please, to wrap up.
Okay, please. On the nutshell, is not encouraging. What they are looking for, how they can be maybe creating bills to be collecting money and share. People have worked, you bounce on them, you at them, and you are obviously
Okay,
the
thank you so much. He would
Thank
respond
you.
to your questions. Hello.
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Ocherian for security reasons.
Okay, let's hear you.
Yes. I submitted a letter to the Ministry of Finance whistleblowing for my client for a sum over almost 2 trillion. And they spat on it and did nothing. How are we protected in this circumstance? Where is the justification for the policy if our complaints will not receive attention? This is 2020. Till date, the petition was received on the 27th of January 2020. Every effort to get information has been blocked. And you want us to continue in this pattern? Now, where is our own protection? How can we believe in the policy that nothing is done about? It's embarrassing and annoying.
Okay, thank you for that. Could you send a text message to 0902-265-6167? Do we have another call? Hello?
Hello.
Your name and where you're calling from?
My name is Paul Sam, calling from Sabolugbe in Abuja.
Let's hear you, Paul Sam.
Yes, we are not protected by this government at all. At all, we are not protected. Is this the same government that we are, that they import a fake petroleum to us? And if, my sister, if it is a bomb that they import to us now, we are all dead by now. So we are not protected by any of this government. We are not safe at all. That's what I have to say. Bye-bye.
There are some that I'll be addressing. There are some that I may not be able to address, because these are some of the problems that characterize the policy, because people are not coming forth again, one, as a result of not getting the reward, maybe the compensation or the percentage of what they are supposed to get. Then the fear of this not being protected and all those ones. And it's not all whistleblowing, that because there are still procedures. For instance, you allege that somebody maybe is having, because during the meetings we were told different kinds of stories where you see people will come forward to say, so person kept money in so place, and they go there, they can't find anything in that place, and what they found there is different from what the person disclosed. So these are some of the problems. But what the law, this bill is seeking to do is, one, to guarantee that people have confidence in coming forth to come and disclose. Because one, if you know you are protected, and because the identity will not be disclosed and all those things, people will be comfortable to come. If there is a legislation whereby we have in the legislation that, okay, maybe if you disclose so you recover, you are able to recover so amount, because it's in those other jurisdictions, they get reward for all those things. So if you know that you are going to get 5% and you monitor, you do your maybe your study diligently before coming forth, I think there's nothing wrong with that. But as far as Ministry of Justice is concerned, we are on the side of the people. What we are doing now is to ensure that that legislation see the light of the bill. And I can assure you that even at the last federal executive meeting, the issue was raised.
Okay, thank you for that. Hello. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, this is Apostle also from
Apostle, let's hear you.
Yes, it's very unfortunate that we in Nigeria only will make law, but to back up the law is the problem we are having. There is a man in Cross River State that is one of the whistleblower. By now he's still in the prison custody. So all those we in Nigeria, we only know how to make more law, but we are not keeping the law.
Do you know the name of that man that is in custody?
Yes, I know the name.
Please, what is his name?
It's one of the journalists, because you go against the government of the government of the day. They keep putting him in the prison. Until now, I don't know whether they have released him. So Nigeria, it's only God we will look upon to help us in this country. We only make law, we couldn't fulfill the law. Thank you and God bless you, Adobe. Apostle also life on the line.
Thank you so much. We have a text message here from MN Mohammed, and it says, I am a chief whistleblower verbally appointed by the president on the 25th of August 2016 in PMB's sitting room. Please help me ask the dignitaries there what they did to the whistleblower who recovers over 200 million USD worth of gold in block M5 NNPC quarters area 11 on the 30th of October 2015. I wouldn't know if...
Well, yes, that's why I said there are some questions that we cannot answer, because we are not part of that, the implementer of that policy. It's the federal Minister of Finance, where you disclose maybe what was recovered and all those things too. They will be in better position too, but that's not the duty of
Ministry of Justice.
Yes.
I must say that we invited the Ministry of Finance, but as we speak, we do not have a representative from them joining us on the program. As we wrap up, I would like to get recommendations from my guests. I would start with Prince Efeduku, who is the Special Advisor on Legislative and Plenary Matters. Okay, I think I asked you that before, if the National Assembly would harmonize the bills, because the time is almost up less than 1 year for them to work on that.
As we speak now, it's yet to get to the National Assembly. I think that is quite.
Well, I don't know whether it has left our office to the Federal Ministry of Finance.
No, with respect, sir, yes, I would think that when you draft a bill, it should not just end at the drafting. That ministry is very important in terms of drafting legislation for the federal government, and there should be seamless collaboration. I don't mean to suggest to you or tell you how you should do your job, but the important thing is that there is a bill now at the National Assembly being worked upon or being worked on. It is important that what you have, there may be innovative ideas in that bill that may not have come to the National Assembly. It is important that it comes so that we can have a holistic bill that addresses the issue and satisfies the thinking of the executive, the thinking of the Nigerian people as gathered from public hearings, including the civil society organizations that have worked tremendously well on this issue. And so one of the things we can avoid by that is a situation where the bill is passed and certain provisions then are not, the executive find them uncomfortable and there is no assent. You understand? We can avoid such situation if there is seamless collaboration between all the entities working on the bill. As I told you, the National Assembly is determined to make impact by way of passing bills that the people consider significant. That has been demonstrated clearly in some cases. The PIB, which is now PIA, has defied passage over the years. It has been passed
after so many years.
Yes, the Electoral Act bill has been an issue that has really gotten this country agitated. It has been passed. The Whistleblower bill is one of such bills too that deserves serious attention, and I take it that we have the leadership at the National Assembly that is dedicated to bills that will impact the lives of our people, and this bill will be passed.
But is there any other step or action that the National Assembly will take to get the new draft from the Ministry of Justice?
That is not a challenge at all. Having been told that this is the situation, the relevant committees charged with midwifing the passage of this bill can also take certain steps to say, look, Honorable Minister and AG of the Federation, please, could you avail us additional information? And that ministry, to be fair, has always been cooperative in the process of passing bills. So that can also be done.
Okay, thank you for that assurance that the National Assembly would put in more effort.
Well, maybe in addition to what the representative of the Deputy Senate President said, there are procedure for most of these laws at times comes through private members when the executives are preparing their own. But one thing I can assure you is that there is always a meeting point. Meeting point in the sense that during public hearing, Attorney General is always at the chamber. So even where you have your own, even if it's not submitted, it has not gotten to that stage. Once we raise an issue as to this, as to that, that calls for harmonization. And it has always been the witness protection. We gave some hints on it when they sent it to us. There's a kind of collaboration ongoing on it, so that's how it is.
Okay, what would be your last word or your assurance to that person listening to you out there?
Yes,
the assurance is that will do the needful.
Yes, the assurance is that the bill will be passed before the fruition of this ninth assembly, and I can assure you that by the grace of God, everybody should be rest assured because there are a lot of issues that characterize that policy, but that has been resolved in this new bill. Like all those instances of intimidation, it has been properly addressed, and I can assure Nigerians that when you have a concrete information you will be protected and you will get value for your disclosure.
Thank you so much for that assurance. Let's quickly, Maxwell, you're smiling. Are you in doubt?
Like I said to you earlier, the devil is in the detail.
The detail of the text of the bill.
That's at one level. And Prince Efeduku, thankfully, also brought out certain issues. Because if you just x-ray the conversation we've had here today, from the submissions of the representative of the Deputy President of the Senate, and from what we also know as civil society groups, there are several texts of bills in both chambers, and he also kindly educated the public on the process for harmonization, which is what you raised, which is bills passed by both chambers that have differences. Then there's a conferencing committee represented by both chambers where an agreement on a final text is arrived upon, that is then passed by both chambers before it goes to the president for assent. Now, you have a process where you have bills at different stages of consideration in Parliament at both chambers. You also have an executive bill, whether it's from the Ministry of Justice or whether, as my friend Soji said, Ministry of Justice is drafting on behalf of the Ministry of Finance, that is yet to get consideration by the Federal Executive Council. Neither is it, we're not aware that it is currently pending before the National Assembly. So what you have is that executive bill will play catch-up. And that is where the point that Prince Efeduku made is also instructive, in the sense that pending, and again, the question we also want to ask, which again, I'm not sure whether my good friend Soji can respond to, is at what point is FEC going to consider that, and at what point is FEC going to give his approval for that before it becomes an official document that can be transmitted to the National Assembly for consideration. And mind you, we're running a race against time.
Sure.
And then the last point I would want to also say, with very due regard to my good friend Soji, is
in 1 minute.
In 1 minute, from the last conversation, which you, Adaobu, were also present at the retreat in Kefi, there were certain agreements that were reached in terms of how the process for drafting that executive bill will go, including civil society participation and input. That never happened. I don't know about you, but for me, I wasn't part of any meeting. I haven't seen the text of whatever bill has been finalized. And again, in the context of the devil being in the detail, again, which is what Prince Efeduku also highlighted, that you don't also want a scenario where you have a bill being considered when it's already at advanced stages, where we are supposed to have reached agreements before time, because what that does is it help manage your time frame, and where we now start having disagreements, and the process gets bogged down in those disagreements.
Thank you.
Which could then result in not having a legislation.
The conversation would definitely continue with the Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Finance, and the National Assembly. But a quick one from Godwin Onyacholem, who is the program officer at AfricMill. What is your charge at this point to the 9th Assembly on passing the whistleblowing bill before them?
First of all, before the National Assembly, I think the charge should be to the Ministry of Finance now. Now that Judge Soji has said the bill has left the Ministry of Justice and gone to the table of the sponsors of the bill, I think they should do the needful and liaise with the National Assembly. I mean, quickly get the bill. Obviously, it's already an executive bill. Get it, sorted out at the executive level, and then send it to the National Assembly so that they can be. Because according to the representative of the Deputy Senate President, they are already considering some bills there. So we hope that when this executive bill gets there, they will do some harmonization and ensure, obviously, that we have a robust legislation that focuses on protection of people who demonstrate the courage to blow the whistle. It's key. It's very important.
Thank you so much for your contribution. And with this, we have come to the end of today's deliberation. For you out there, you have heard all that has been said. The bill from the Ministry of Justice has left Ministry of Justice. Hopefully, in no distant time, we would have the legislation before us talking about the whistleblower protection bill. Thank you so much to all my guests today. If you have a message for us, or you want to reach us, if you want to react to what you heard on the program, please reach us on 0902-265-6167. That is 0902 265-6167. We sincerely appreciate all our guests. I'm the Deputy Senate President, Ovie Omoagege, ably represented by his Special Advisor on Legislative and Plenary Matters, Prince Efeduku, Maxwell Kadiri, a legal practitioner, Godwin Onyacholim, the Program Officer at AfricMil, Adesoji Afolabi, Assistant Chief State Counsel, Federal Ministry of Justice. Please visit the news page of our website, primognews.org. That is primognews.org for all the details of our reports and interviews. Visit our website, www.primog.org, to get all the information about Primog. A good platform to also report corruption is the corruptionanonymous.com, operated by AfricMil. This radio town hall meeting on whistleblowing has the support of the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. Get more information about the foundation on its website, macfound.org. Many thanks to the program, to Primog and AfricMil for their wonderful work. The executive producers of this town hall meeting are Okiri Agbonsremi and Chido Onoma. Don't fail to report corruption when you see it or encounter it in any form. I am Adaobi Obiabomo. Thank you.